Who is ready for RV industry propaganda month? I know I am. Welcome to HBRV Lifestyle. They call me the Honey Badger because I give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business. And today is your July 2024 industry update. RV industry update. And we're going to do this fluently. No edits, no cuts, nothing of that nature. I'm on the road, so we're going to be a little herky-jerky, and we are in my car. But there's three major things I want to cover here for July 2024. And the very first thing is be aware that we are going to have year model change this month, which means the manufacturers are going to ramp up the propaganda. Here's why. We are still in a terrible position as dealerships across the United States and Canada. Now, some are in better shape than others, but for the most part, dealerships across the United States and Canada are still overloaded with 2023 and 2024 inventory. Now, they did this last year where almost, not every brand, but almost every brand said they were going to, quote unquote, reinvent the RV industry for year model 2024. Now, some of them came out with something really cool, like the mini loft or the hybrid park model, hybrid destination travel trailer. There were a lot of manufacturers that did one or two things a little bit differently, but they didn't reinvent the wheel like they propaganded say they would. Like politicians, like a lot of other types of companies out there, their goal was to get you, the consumer, to start picking up the phone to dealerships and go, where's my 2024s that are going to be so innovative? And of course, I debunked that in a video last year, and they were a little upset with me about it, but I'm on the dealership and the consumer side of things, especially when it comes to inventory and stocking levels. So they're going to ramp it up again. They're going to amp it up to 1,000. Do not be fooled by it. Now, there are some manufacturers that are making major changes. If you go to Big Truck, Big RV, JD did a walkthrough of Riverstone by Forest River, and they are making major changes to year model 2025. They're one of the few, and I'm going to repeat that again, the few that are doing a complete overhaul of what they were already doing. So there is going to be big differences starting in September of 2024 compared to what's on dealers' lots now. Now, that is a double-edged sword for Riverstone, because now that you're announcing all these changes, what do you do about the inventory that's on dealerships' lots? And by the way, the super majority of dealerships are overstocked with Riverstone fifth wheels. Get my drift? So we're going to be in a position, again, where the manufacturers are going to try to press hard to get the consumer, the RV community, which is you, to put pressure on dealerships to carry brand new 2025s right out of the gate. Now, what I will tell you is from the dealership contacts I have, owners are going to be very limited on how many they're going to order. Banks are going to limit dealerships ordering, and owners themselves are going to hold back until they get rid of the majority of their 2023s and 24s. Here's the biggest issue for the manufacturers at this point. The biggest problem every RV industry manufacturer, every single boat manufacturer, every single car manufacturer is going to run into is right after the 4th of July, retails come to a halt on new products. Not on used, but on new. Used becomes a candy fest where you seem to just be flying off the shelves. In fact, the used market we're going to get into in a minute has just gone like honey badger. Okay? But new products slow way down during election months. So you've got July, August, September, October, November. So the next 4.5 months, manufacturers and dealerships are going to be putting, let's say, the game put together. It's going to be a game of chess, trying to stay alive during this process. Okay? Now, I truly believe that people in general should not wait to see how an election goes to live your life. But that's not my decision. That's just an opinion. Boy, am I sweating. Woo. Okay. Now let's move on to the second thing I wanted to talk about, which is the used RV market. The used RV market has gone absolutely bananas, and that's because prices have dropped. Dealerships specifically, not private party. Your private party prices are still 20% higher model to model, year to year than at the dealership level. And that's because of things that happened during COVID. And if you want that information, I'll give it to you a little bit later in this episode or in this video. Okay. The one thing about the used RV market at the dealership level is dealers cannot keep them in stock. I just talked to 5 dealerships over this weekend alone that sold a combined 72 used motorhomes, travel trailers, and fifth wheels combined. In one weekend, they sold almost 0 new, and they do carry new. Now, they sold some aged, discounted stuff that's heavily discounted, but nothing with a profit in it on the new side. But they did sell a bunch of used that they did make some money on, but they also were a lot lower priced than what you could get private party. So dealerships have already made the adjustment. Private party will eventually make the adjustment, specifically those that have the actual title in their hands. They will make the adjustment as time goes on. But for now, you're still looking at a industry where the used prices at the dealership level are better than what you're getting on the private market. But I believe it will even out once you get to the dog days of November, December, and January. Okay. And the third and final thing I really wanted to go over for this update is that there is etiquette that needs to be discussed. Okay. And this is to salespeople, managers, customers. This is the entire community. This is including manufacturers. We need to be more open about talking to each other. We need to be willing to answer questions. Okay. I've run into too many folks over the last 2.5 months that just will not answer a basic question like, you guys are looking for something used, how much of a budget did you set? Unwilling to answer that because some knucklehead that has a car buying guru YouTube channel thinks that, the car industry and the RV industry are identical. They're not. They're completely different. Just like the boat and the motorcycle industry are completely different. Okay? Be willing to have open conversations with your salespeople, with the dealership, with maybe the private seller. Actually have those discussions because open communication on both sides, this including salespeople, if you're a sales guy in the RV industry and you're still using answer a question with another question, you're insane. Those tactics were from the 1990s, guys. Nowadays, it's answer the question, then ask a question. So if I were to train salespeople right now at a dealership, I would say if a customer asks you a question, answer it directly, then ask the customer a question to keep the conversation going. So it's no longer, well, you know, how much is this unit? Well, I'm not sure, but what were you willing to spend? What would you be willing to spend on it? I mean, that's answering a question with a question. How about that trailer is on sale on the internet for $35,998? Was that around the price range you were looking for, or are you willing to go more expensive or less expensive? Or is that the sweet spot? How about just answer some bloody questions? I mean, that's how I feel sometimes, right? So it's on both sides. I'm noticing the communication level is very poor. I've been talking to a lot of sales guys, a lot of folks that are fans of the channel, fans of the podcast over the last 2-3 months, and it appears that is a big issue right now. So with all the propaganda that's going to be thrown in your face over the next 3 to 4 months, be sure to have an open and honest conversation with the dealership. And if they answer your question with more questions without answering your question first, wrong dealer. Okay? So, now, when it comes to what I talked about year model 2023 and what was going on via 2024, that video is right there if you missed it. It's about 32 minutes long, and it's very informative.